Hey everyone, it's Shauna. Thanks for joining me here today. Well, the temperature is about 50 and is dropping. We've already had our first snow of the season. Sounds like a great day to make stew. Now, the object of the game here today is to make our stew fairly quickly, painlessly. So we're not going to spend a lot of time chopping, slicing, and dicing. We're going to use things we can get readily at the grocery store so we can get it cooking quickly. So what we have to start off with doing is taking flour and using that to dust the protein with. It could be beef, could be pork, could be chicken. All very, very similar in terms of doing this. If you're going to do a vegetarian one, you would use mushrooms. So to this, we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt, maybe closer to a tablespoon. It's a rough estimate. It's okay, doesn't have to be exact. Going to add some black pepper to it. Not black powder, no. Make it go boom. So I've taken the beef and dredged it there in the flour, so it's totally covered. You may be saying, wait a second, that does not look like cubed meat. And it's not. If you look, sometimes you can find other cuts of meat, very similar, that is on sale. So this is actually beef already cut for stir fry. It was a use today special. Bought it, cooking it tonight, and I even saved some money in the process. Who doesn't want to do that? So as you can see, I have the beef already here in the skillet. Hot pan, hot oil. It's on medium-high heat, and I am letting this brown. Caramelize, get that wonderful look and texture and flavor to it. So what I've done is added a little Worcestershire sauce, a little extra salt. The Worcestershire sauce will add the pepper, so I don't need to do that. Add a little thyme and a little bit of rosemary. Object is to build layer of flavor upon layer of flavor upon layer of flavor. So here we have the meat that we're using, stir-fry meat. And it has a great caramelization on the outside, which will add all kinds of great flavor to it. That's the object of the game. Over here in the pan, I have oil and something that's called fond. To take a quote from Chef Todd Moore and his carefree cooking method, I am very fond of fond. That's a lot of great bits down there that we are going to use to add more flavor. First, we got to chop a few veggies. So for our potato portion, we are going to use fingerling potatoes. You can get them in the produce section of a supermarket. They are new potatoes, and you'll find that there are white potatoes, red potatoes, and purple potatoes. All of them have a slightly different flavor, and they're wonderful. So I've cut all my fingerling potatoes into bite-sized bits, just 2 cuts, 90 degrees to each other, and this way they'll cook not only faster, but they'll cook more evenly because they're all about the same size. So remember how I said we're going to do this easy? The potatoes and the celery here are the hardest things to go and prep in this whole meal. Here with the celery, you can get 5 packs of already washed celery sticks. I took 1 pack and cut it. So here we have our potatoes that are cooking away. The celery adds a freshness level. The mushrooms that I added, and that's optional for those of you who don't like it, adds a wonderful earthy sort of quality to the food. Again, it's another flavor component. Now there in your supermarket, in the produce section, you may find microwavable bags of fresh peas and carrots. And that's what we're going to use here. Just going to add in the whole thing right into our stew. Minimum of fuss and mush. So I've added in the peas and the multicolored carrots. All the different colors not only add different flavors, but it also makes it much more visually appealing. I firmly believe in colorful food. So I've added in 1 container of beef stock. If this was a chicken stew, you would use chicken stock. If it was a vegetable stew, you would use vegetable stock. And we're going to bring this up to temperature and let it all start to simmer. And as soon as it gets to that point, I'll add the beef back in. So one last very important ingredient, onions. For me, I'm using a bag of frozen pearl onions. I like the flavor. It's a bit more sweeter, and it's also bite-sized. So as you can see right here, I've added the meat back in. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to let it simmer for about half hour, 45 minutes. Keep in mind, we're just waiting for the veggies to get done because the meat we've already cooked. So we've added extra salt, extra pepper, little extra rosemary and thyme. Going to add a bay leaf and simply let things simmer. This is a great time to get caught up on your dishes because a clean kitchen area is a healthy kitchen area. So it's been simmering away for about a half hour. I took a little test taste and it needed a little bit of acid. Add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce to it. But then I remembered I had a secret weapon, and I added a small can of diced tomatoes. What I like about adding the diced tomatoes is not only the flavor, but it also adds a textural component to the stew. One more layer of flavor, one more layer of texture. It all is coming together wonderfully. So remember the flour we used to coat our beef with? That's what I have here. I've added 2 teaspoons of baking powder, little Italian seasoning. We're going to mix this and turn it into dumplings. Some of you may be a little concerned because I dusted the beef with this. Not to worry, because it's going to cook right here on top of the stew and it'll be fine. So I've added enough milk to form a paste. It's hard to tell how much milk to use because it comes down to the consistency that you want. I'm going to spoon it out and place it on top of the stew. So we carefully spooned on the batter on top. We're going to let it sit here for 10 minutes, then cover and let it go another 20, and we'll be ready for dinner. So you can see how much our dumplings have puffed up because of the baking powder. Then 10 minutes, going to cover them, let them go another 20. Okay, we're not cooking here at the moment, so I let my hair down. I really do have it. I always pull it back when I'm cooking because it's a health, food safety sort of thing. I don't know about you, but I don't care for hair in my food, so I always pull it back. You may be thinking, after a meal like this, something on the sweet side would be nice. How about vanilla pudding? So what I have here is 1 1/3 cups of heavy cream, a teaspoon of vanilla, tablespoon of butter, and 1 egg. Because of the egg, we gotta keep whisking this so it doesn't turn into scrambled eggs inside our vanilla pudding. That would be no good. So the butter is melted, which means we can now add our dry ingredients. That would be 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1/4 cup of white sugar. We keep whisking until it starts to come to a boil under medium heat. So it has been another 20 minutes. It looks phenomenal. I'm going to turn the heat off and just let it sit. So our pudding is getting wonderfully thick. The heat comes off. Going to pour it into our ramekins. Those are simply nice fancy little containers to hold our pudding. So here we have our 2 small ramekins filled with our vanilla pudding. Now I decided to add a little chefy touch, and I went and zested the outside of a lemon. Just let it sit there on top. Add a little extra flavor to it. So here is dinner all plated. I have 3 of the dumplings, our stew in here. I have our lemon vanilla pudding off to the side. Dinner tonight took about 2.5 hours, which for a stew that you're watching over is reasonable. Could you have put everything into a slow cooker and let it go? Well, except for the pudding, absolutely. So when you get home from work, it would be ready. 4 hours on high, 7 to 8 hours on low. So I want to thank you for joining me here today. And until next time, here's cooking with you.